I asked everyone who was reading if they could send me a little something, a memory from growing up, not necessarily as a writer, just growing up. And let me tell you what Matt sent. I had to imagine things that I never realized. His childhood bedroom was a big one. The cafeteria, the japes and the jibes of the other school kids, the cool kids. Because he got up one morning and dressed in his sister's pants. And then people said, "Why are you wearing girl pants?" And then he had what he describes as a major meltdown. I know, they sent him to the principal's office, and they were trying to get his parents to bring him pants, and he was like, they couldn't get a hold of him, which in my head was, they definitely got a hold of your parents. And they were like, oh, send him back to fucking class, I don't care. And then he had to go back to class. I mean, it's rough, but here's the thing. If you want to see how far he's come, ladies and gentlemen, look at his outfit right now. There you go. Those aren't bell bottoms. Those aren't bell bottoms. There you go. I like that the more sartorially inclined, we're just like, yeah, outfits. I'm ready. I love it. So I love that story. And let me tell you why I love that story. It's really embarrassing for a young child. And sometimes when you get up here, we're worried that by revealing ourselves, we're going to get embarrassed as well. Do you see there's a theme, there's a through line? I'm threading the eye of the needle. A rich man cannot enter heaven. Okay, so as long as I don't want to show the lines too much. I don't want you guys to see what I do. I'm a very subtle host. Yeah, okay, so without further everything that is happening up here, this gradual breakdown of a human being. Matt, are you ready? Audience, are you ready? Okay, Matt, I think they're ready, but I can't hear. My blood's pounding.
Hi. That was third grade. The irony is my sisters picked out this entire outfit. So not much has changed. I'm going to read letters tonight that I wrote over the summer at request. If you guys want a letter after you've heard this, there's a box over there. I want to do it again. So write your name and address and put it in the box, and I'll write you a letter over the summer.
He's serious?
Yeah,
There's an
dead serious.
Physical box over there.
Right over there. Down. Okay. Can you hear me now? Okay. I'll be in Chile, too, so you might get a letter from Chile. All right. Hey, little sister. This letter project has taken me longer than I imagined. The letters have only been a few pages long, but each one has a different audience that I must tailor my writing to, so it has been a stop-and-start venture. This is why you are receiving this letter so long after your initial request. This makes me wonder, what do I write in a chatty letter to my younger sister who already knows all about the important parts of my life? I feel like I have nothing new to fill you in with, nothing big or important anyway. Why don't I tell you about the small things then? Like, for instance, how the sun casts light on my balcony from 1 o'clock to 3 o'clock. So if I have that time open during the day, I lie out in my boxers and tan. I'm sure anyone on the street thinks I'm crazy. The temperatures usually soar from to 105 degrees, so I sweat like a fat southern sheriff. I manage 15 minutes on one side, 15 on the other, timed by a playlist on my iPod titled Tanning Playlist, which consists of classical music and some old R&B. That was my summer. I can't handle lying out any longer than that. It usually leaves me exhausted. Here's another example of something you probably don't know. Some nights, to get my daily step count up on my Fitbit, I walk to campus and around campus, and I take my shoes off because the grass there gets cold after they water it. Christian has joined me a couple times. So has Rachel. It's the best time to be outside, and you'd be surprised how much you end up missing the grass when you live in the desert. Rachel and I even made a date out of it once. We brought some snacks in a flask. We snuck to the roof of one of the buildings on campus, enjoyed the cool night air, and viewed the lights of the city down below. In the mornings, I've switched from coffee to tea, which I make in a big batch and cool down. One pot usually lasts me 2 days. When I leave my apartment, I bring some tea in a thermal mug, and it stays cold for longer. I discovered that the public library only 2 blocks from my apartment is quieter than UNLV's library, so I usually just walk there to write when I don't have any other plans. That's actually where I'm sitting right now. I'm at a wood table with a reading light hanging over, in the middle of a long aisle with a tile floor between the bookshelves. The walls are eggshell blue. A few people, one homeless guy and an old couple, are dawdling through the rows. Their shoes are tapping on the floor, and they're murmuring. Other than that, it's just me and my typing. I work well here. What other small anecdotes could I tell you about? What minute details might intrigue you? This summer has been dismal. So often, to everyone I know, I communicate my goals, aspirations, my current tasks, my career. People always talk about the big things that seem interesting, but more often than not, with people you know exceptionally well, you'll be more fascinated by what they do on their downtime. That's how you know if someone is actually doing well. It's as if you have to sift through the obnoxiously large portions of people's lives by having tedious conversations before you can learn whether they've recently switched from coffee to tea, and subsequently really know them. Love your brother, Matt. Okay. This next one is to an old friend from really junior high. I grew up with him, and it's way more bro-y than the last one. But we don't talk too often anymore, so it's a lot of like rehashing the old stuff. He's one of those friends that anytime, you know those friends that you run into and it's like you never had been apart? He's that guy for me, so. My dear Brandon, you were the new kid at school when we first met. It was in the gym. Connor introduced us, do you remember? We were sprightly young boys back then, full of outstanding life and thrilled to breathe and see and taste. We made small talk, broaching subjects so common for junior high boys. Namely, we talked about music. I think Sum 41 was mentioned, but perhaps I'm blurring memories together in strange ways. Do you remember when I called you the night I lost my virginity? I do. It was a hot, humid night. And I was standing near the fire pit at my parents' home, gazing at the stars which were twinkling in the clear black sky, and I paced around, dialing the numbers of the most important people in my life. You answered. I had a Razor flip phone. The keys were large and flat like pancakes. I was ecstatic. I had to let you know, dear friend, what glorious thing I had done. Like how a child seeks approval from his father. Tatanka? It's an inside joke. That means buffalo in American Indian language. You taught me that, or reminded me of the fact from the film Dances with Wolves, starring Kevin Costner. His dad got high really high one time and did the Tatanka thing, so he knows. You guys don't. I also remember one time wrestling with you at Tyler Brule's house. You were strong and formidable, a worthy opponent. Nick Porras was there as well, wrestling with us. I find it incredible that he went on to wrestle in mixed martial arts competitions, yet there we had been, competing alongside him in Tyler Brule's basement, just a bunch of drunken teenagers. There are so many things I could mention about our youth. Our St. Patrick's Day tomfoolery in your basement, Frank C's erection during your introduction of him in speech class, the smoking of an entire pack of Newport menthol cigarettes the night before the graduation field trip. We were stupid children, but I am proud we have made it to the strange age of the mid-20s when we are supposed to be and probably feel as though we are completely adults. But sometimes I do not want this to be true. Sometimes I wish I were stupid again, with you, dear friend, pissed drunk in my yard during an outrageous party. What shall I say about my adulthood? I have many books and an apartment in some dumpy part of Las Vegas. I still have adventures, although they seem lackluster in comparison to the bastardly things we did so often as children. I teach children now, too, at the University of Nevada. Sometimes I stand up in front of the classroom of eager young people and wonder, what moron gave me this job? but I am happy in writing. The women in Las Vegas are beautiful, and the entertainment never stops, and it is hard sometimes to find a quiet place to sit down and type a letter to an old friend. Yet I think of you often. I tell our stories to my new friends here. My soul shines at the mention of Brandon Allen Adair. I would ask how you are doing, but I assume that you are just fine. I assume you are working a great deal at an important place, and you are probably dating some beautiful woman whom you frequently copulate with. You were always a self-sufficient, exalted chap. It was your resourceful nature and noble character which drew myself and so many privileged others into your friendship when you were the new kid at Oakland Junior High. Okay? Thank you, guys.